We are going to start now with Maseches Shabbos Daf Kaf Hey, and we are starting from Daf Kaf Dalet Amud Beis. Right as the Gemara begins, we can just start from the Gemara again, because the Gemara will flow straight into this sugya. So we had been speaking about yesterday, and we will speak more today about the isser of using shemen sreifa. Yesterday we learned that the isser of shemen sreifa was because of ein sorfin. The language here of the Gemara is ein sorfin kachim b'yom tov, that you're not allowed to be sort of kachim, to burn kachim on yantiv. And today the Gemara is going to dig into that in much more detail. So opens the Gemara here, my taima, what is the reason why this Mishnah here on Kaf Dalet, and as we learned yesterday, also the Mishnah on Daf Kaf Amud Beis, why is it that we cannot light with shemen sreifa? My taima, says the Gemara, lefish ein sorfin kachim b'yom tov. We're not allowed to burn kachim on yantiv. Where do we know this from? Minahani mili. We are going to learn 4 different answers, and I'm going to say in advance that a lot of these answers are not explicit on the page. They require Rashi, they require Rishonim, they require some understanding that isn't all natural. So let's get started. The first shita is the most explicit of them all. Omar Chizkiya, v'chein Tana debei Chizkiya. It wasn't just Chizkiya, but the yeshiva in which he taught also was quoting him. Omar Kra, we know this from a pasuk. Below sosiru mimenu ad boker. The pasuk says you cannot leave it over until morning. The hanosar mimenu ad boker, and again the pasuk will end off that it will need to be burned. But what the Gemara here is bothered by is that it says ad boker twice. So that's what the Gemara says. Shein talmud lomar ad boker. It can't mean the morning, because we already know that it said that already. Ma talmud lomar ad boker the second time. Answers the Gemara. Ba hakasuv litein boker sheni lisreifaso. We don't have to burn it until the second of the days. Take a look at a very important Rashi here. This is Rashi Dibur Hamaschil Boker Sheni. 2 lines before Rashi widens out. Boker Sheni. When do we burn this particular food? Shehu chulo shel moed. It's going to be done on chol hamoed. What do we see from here? That ein sorfin kachim b'yom tov. Because if you could have been sorfin on yantif, the Torah wouldn't have said ad boker twice. The fact that it said ad boker twice indicates to us that you don't burn it the following morning, but only the morning after that, which is chol hamoed, and therefore we know that ein sorfin kachim b'yom tov. Answer number 1. Answer number 2. Abai Omar Kra Olas Shabbos b'Shabbato. The pasuk says that the korban of Olah. The korban olah of Shabbos can be brought on Shabbos. What do we learn from here? Below olas chol b'Shabbos. You can't bring the korban that needs to be brought b'chol. You can't bring that on Shabbos. That's not appropriate. Below olas chol b'yom tov. And you also can't bring the korban of a weekday on Yontif. And the Rishonim here point out, and from here we can see that we also should not be sorev kachim on Yom Tov. That's not shayach. The oil that we are going to be burning has nothing to do with the korbanos of the day. And because of that, based on this drasha, we therefore cannot be sorev kachim on yantiv. Answer number 2. Answer number 3 is Rava. Rava Omar Kra hu levado ye'aseh lachem. And here the pasuk, just to read it in full, I'll just read the second half of it because a lot of it's important for what we're talking about. The pasuk says the second half, ach asher ye'achel l'chol nefesh hu levado ye'aseh lachem. The din, as mentioned yesterday from the Mishnah and Megillah, that we are allowed to do meleches ochel nefesh on Yantiv, but the end of the pasuk says, "Hu levado ye'aseh lachem." Only those things can you do. What does that mean? Hu levado ye'aseh lachem, says the Gemara. Hu below machshirin. You're allowed to make food, but you cannot make the utensils to prepare the food. You can't sharpen a knife. You can't fashion a board. Everything has to be very clear. Levado. The last part of the drasha, bottom of Kaf Dalet Amud Beis, levado velo mila shelo bizmana, and this drasha is why, one of the reasons why we don't do a bris on Shabbos, that a mila shelo bizmana, it's not the right time. A mila bizmana is doche Shabbos, that we know. There are other exceptions, C-sections, shilas of what time the baby's born, and bein hashmashos. But b'derech klal, if a baby is day 9, day 10, day 11, that's it. We don't do that bris on Shabbos. My nephew's bris, which I did a couple of years ago, he was born bein hashmashos of one particular day. A week later was going into Yontiv, and he caught like a 2 or 3 day Yontiv. His bris was on day 11, whatever it was. That's bein hashmashos issues. Then once his bris was no longer able to be done on day 8 because there was a shaila bein hashmashos, his bris was pushed off for many days because mila shelo bizman is not docha Shabbos and Yontif. So that, and the Gemara here just adds in a side point to us, Yomi kal v'chomer. Rashi here details what's going on here, but in short, Rashi says if not for this drush of levado to preclude mila shelo bizmana, that a bris on days 9, 10, 11, and 12, anything past 8 that it can't be done on Shabbos, I might have thought we would have done that bris on Yontif. And therefore comes along this drasha to tell us, no, you're not allowed to. And what is the tzushtel from here? We see that from here that something that is not properly timed cannot be done on Shabbos or Yontiv, just like a bris on days 9 and beyond cannot be done on Shabbos and Yontiv, so too one cannot be sort of kachim b'yontiv. Answer number 4, Rav Ashi. Rav Ashi Amar Shabbaton. This pasuk is in reference to Yontif. It is not in reference to Shabbos. And Shabbaton, turning to the top of Daf Kaf Hey Amud Aleph, is an asay. It is an asay to not violate Isurim on Shabbos. It's an asay to have shvisa, to keep whatever number of malachos we keep on Yontif, and therefore we have this asay. That's number 1. V'havala Yom Tov asay velosa asay. What that means is that we have, when a person does an avera on Yontif, they're violating 2 problems. Number 1, they're violating an asay, and they're also violating a losa asay. The ein asay doche es halosa asay ve'asay. Let's say you have 2 juxtaposing halachic realities. You could fulfill one mitzvah, and that mitzvah would be a mitzvah saseh. But if you do that one mitzvah, in this case being sorev kachim, if you do that, then you're going to violate an asay and losa asay of shmira, of keeping yontif properly. So normally we're used to the principle of asay doche losa asay, right? That we're familiar with. Let's say, for example, a baby needs to have a bris and he has tzaras on the orla. So at the very same moment that you're removing the orla, you're also fulfilling the mitzvah bris milah. So asay, doche losa asay, the asay of doing the bris trumps the losa asay of removing the tzaras. But here the scales are a little bit more uneven. We have an asay of burning the truma, and we have the asay and losa asay on the other side of the scale. So there we say asay, ein asay doche es halosa asay ve'asay. Turning on to the top of, did I say the wrong daf? Okay, sorry about that. To the top of daf Chaf Hey Amud Aleph. Thank you. And then here the Gemara says, okay, now we have our 4 answers. Very good. Basically, in short, pick your answer. All 4 of them indicate that we are not allowed to be sorev kachim on Yontif. Very good. Now the Gemara makes one simple inference, and that is going to throw us into the world of what is the actual mitzvah of sreifa. We know that there is a mitzvah of sreifa. We've been referencing it. We know that you cannot do it on Yontif, as these 4 Amoraim just taught us. But what is the mitzvah of sreifa? Let's see what happens here. It says the Gemara, end of the second line. Yom Tov hu to us here. On Yontif, we know that it's usher to burn truma, Ha bechol shapir dami. But during the week, then we know that one is definitely allowed to burn truma. We saw that referenced in a number of the Mari Makomos we just saw. So says the Gemara, my taima. Why is it? Basically, what is the mitzvah that we are doing here? So my taima, Amarav. Kishem shemitzvah lisrov hakodshim shenitma'u. Rav says that just like it's a mitzvah to be sorev kodshim that became tameh, kach mitzvah lisrov es hatruma shenitmeis. The same mitzvah that we have by kodshim, so too we have by truma. That if one of them becomes tameh, we have a mitzvah to do the sreifa. The Amra Torah, and the Torah taught us v'shas biura tehani mimena, that one is allowed to benefit. They're allowed to get hana during the actual biur. Okay, so where does it say in the Torah that you're allowed to get hana from the biur? We didn't see that pasuk, so let's see what happens here. It says the Gemara, Heichan Amra Torah. Where does the Torah say that we're allowed to get benefit when we are burning the truma? Answers the Gemara, Midir Rav Nachman. This is going to be the opinion of Rav Nachman, the Amora, and Rav Nachman says as follows. Amar Rav Nachman, Amar Rabba Baravuha Amar Kra. The Torah tells us, Va'ani hine nosati lecha es mishmeres trumosai. Plural, trumosai, my trumos. What does trumosai mean? More than one stalk of truma? No, that's not what it means. Bishtei trumos akasu b'daber. The pasuk speaking about 2 different kinds of truma. Achas truma tehora, ve'achas truma tmeya. One of those trumos is tehora and one's tmeya. The Amar Rachmana licha. What does the word licha mean in the pasuk? Again, look 3 lines up. Ve'ani hine nosati licha. What does the word licha mean? Back to where we are. Shelcha tehei. It's for yours, lahasika, to burn tachas tavshilcha, to burn under your pot. In other words, you are allowed to have hana. You are allowed to have hana from burning this. So those are our Mari Makomos. That's answer number one. We're going to see a total of 3 answers tonight about this mitzvah. Answer number 1 is the pasuk where it says Trumosai. That is a reference for Truma Tehora and Truma Tmeya, and you're allowed to get hana. The Ibai Sema, here is another possibility. Before we start the second answer, I just wanted to give a little bit of background into what we're going to be learning. Within the realm of foods that are kadosh, we're going to be speaking about 3 levels. The lowest level of kedusha within the 3 foods we're going to be discussing is Meiser Sheni. The second level of kedusha, a higher level of kedusha, is that of truma. And the highest level of kedusha of foods within the realm of kedusha is kachim. So that's, again, it's going to be Meiser Sheni, truma, and kachim, and we're going to climb that ladder over the course of this conversation, and that will help us to understand what Rabbi Abahu is talking about. V'baisema mid Rabbi Abahu. Amar Rabbi Abahu, Amar Rabbi Yochanan, v'lo bi'arti mimenu b'tamei. I'm not going to burn the Meiser Sheni. Mimenu here is a reference to Meiser Sheni, as Rashi here points out. V'lo bi'arti mimenu b'tamei. Mimenu iatamavir. We don't burn Meiser Sheni that gets tamei. Aval atamavir shemen shel truma shenitmei. Beautiful answer, clean, no problem at all. That is how the Gemara answers this. But then the Gemara pushes back on Rabbi Abahu. It seems to be you made a good drasha. The word mimenu implies that it's going to be different than Meiser Sheni. Meiser Sheni doesn't get burned, but Truma does. Good diuk, says the Gemara. But wait a minute. The Ema mimenu iatamavir avalatamavir shemen shel kodesh shenitma. You inferred from the Meiser Sheni that when it said mimenu, it meant to say that that's what we don't burn, but we do burn Truma. Asks the Gemara, that's only rung 2 of the Kedusha. Why don't you reach out to the highest rung of Kedusha and say, maybe when we were precluding Meiser Sheni from Bior, we were including Kodesh from Bior. So that's the Gemara's question here. Maybe we should say that Truma is Lav Dafka included in this case. Says the Gemara, Lav Kal V'chomer. Wouldn't it be a Kal V'chomer? Ma Meiser Hakal Amrator Lobi Arti Mimenu B'tamei Kodesh Chomer Lo Kol Shekain. If we're going to be preclusive over there, then we should be inclusive over here all the more so. It's much, much holier. Says the Gemara, Ihachi Truma Nami Lema Kal V'chomeru. If you're going to say that that's the case, that we could learn from the lowest rung of the ladder, from Meiser Sheni to the highest rung, which is Kodesh, I could have made the same Kal V'chomer about Truma, which is a greater level of Kedusha as it was compared to Meiser Sheni as well. Then says the Gemara, all of these Kal V'chomers don't work. Why? Because we have a pasuk that we have to contend with. Aksiv mimenu. The Torah says mimenu, and if the Torah is saying mimenu, then we have to use that word, and that word seems to leave room for us to make an inference about what can be included and what cannot be included. So says the Gemara, Uma Rais. This question was hard to understand when I first learned it. Uma Rais. Why is it that you're pushing to say that the highest level should be what was learned from the pasuk? This is the question against Rabbi Abahu. Why are you trying to say that Kachim should have been the inference from the pasuk by Meiser Sheni and not Truma, leaving our Gemara with a vacuum of a Mari Makom for why we have a mitzvah of being Sorek Truma? Answers the Gemara, Mistabra, the reason why Kodesh should have been the inference and not Truma is because of the following. Mistabra Kodesh lo mema'itna shekain simin panak akas. Because this acronym of 6 things that apply to Kodesh that don't apply to Truma, the level of Kedusha has these 6 aspects to it. Kodesh has 6 aspects of Kedusha to it that Truma doesn't have. What are these 6 things? The Gemara details them right here in brief. Pigul, when a person has a thought that is the wrong thought during the korbanos. Nosar, a korban that's eaten after its time. Korban, it has a halachic status of a korban, which Truma doesn't. Me'ila, the halachos of Me'ila are subject to kodshim. Karesh, there's Nisr Karesh by kodshim in a variety of scenarios. The Isser le'onein, and as well, an onein is not allowed to partake in kodshim. So these are 6 things that apply to Kodshim, that apply to Shem and Kodesh, that don't apply to Truma. So the dissenting opinion of the Gemara, the one that questioned Rabbi Abahu, was assuming that because Kodesh has so many unique factors to it, we should therefore assume that when the Gemara says Meiser Sheni, it's meant to teach us about the more extreme case about Kodesh, but not the case of Truma. So says the Gemara, but Adarabba, why would you say that? There are unique things about Truma too. What's unique about Truma? Truma lo mema'itna shekain machpaz siman. They have 4 things about Truma that are unique. What are the 4 things that are unique? The first is Misa. The second is chomesh, that if a person were to take truma from someone, they'd have to pay keren v'chomesh, they have to pay the principal and the interest. Turning to the top of kapayim and beis, ve'ein la pidyon, you can't transfer it onto something else. V'asura lazarim, and you can't have anyone who's a zar eating truma. So we have a lot of unique things going on here. So says the Gemara, why is it that you're saying we should only have thought that there's a chiyuv to burn kachim? We have unique things about truma too. Maybe we should have also included the case of truma to say that there's a chiyuv to burn truma as well. Answers the Gemara, it's math. 6 is greater than 4. Hanach nefishan. There are more unique things about truma than there are more unique things about kachim than there are about truma. So therefore, we're going to learn that one from the pasuk instead. There is another answer as to why we had a havamina that kachim should have been taught over truma, and that is this answer here. Kodesh chamor shekain anush kares. It's not a math equation. It's not 6 is greater than 4. There is one factor that applies by kachim that doesn't apply by truma, and it's greater than all of the other factors combined, which is that there is a chiyuv kares. Rashi here points out the 4th line of Rashi, the last of the wider lines. Kares adifa. It's more powerful. The ispe trei chumrei yamav nichrasin v'holech hariri. That there's a double punch to this onesh. It's not just the person; it's also holech hariri, that the generations would be cut off. So that's why this onesh is considered more chamor. Now, as mentioned, I had said there would be 3 answers as to why it is that we have a mitzvah. We learned 2 of them on the previous page, and then jumped into this slight nuanced case of why kodesh over truma. And now the Gemara is going to ask for one more mari makom, the 3rd answer, as to how we know that there is a mitzvah for burning truma. Rav Nachman bar Yitzchak Amar Kra T10 lo. We have to give to him. This is the pasuk. If you look at the bottom here, if you have the psukim in your Gemara, Reishis de ganachati roshacha v'yitzarecha. The Reishis gaze soncha T10 lo. The first, all the Reishis, things that we give to Kohanim. So it says the Gemara T10 lo. You should give it to him lo below the oro. You should give him something that he can use, something that he could benefit from, but not for his fire. In other words, it's not fuel. What does the Gemara infer here? A complex inference. Mechlal de bas orahu. What does that imply? That which you give him can be bas oro in theory. It's not what you should give him. It's not what is ideal to give him. We should give him something he could consume. But if you do give him something that has any use, even if it's only laoro, that would be reasonable, even though not ideal. And that is how we know that it is permissible to have hana from truma. Now we're going to change gears, going back to our Mishnah. Our Mishnah had said on Kaf Daled Amud Beis, Rabbi Shmuel Omer Ein Madlikin BeItron Mipnei Kvod Shabbos. We said that itron, which is the byproduct of pitch, and it makes for a terrible odor when the candle is lit. So Rabbi Shmuel said that it wasn't appropriate because of Kavod Shabbos. It says here in the Gemara, 2 dots, 5 lines down on Kaf Amud Beis, my taima, Amar Rava mitoch sherecho ra. The reason why we don't use itron is because the smell is terrible. That seems pretty simple. So, and what does that have to do with anything? It smells bad, so what? So let it smell bad. What does that? Is it the smell that's wrong? No, that's not the problem. Gzeira, shema yanichena v'yetze. The smell in and of itself is not the problem. It's what the smell causes. A very important distinction. The fact that it smells bad is not alone enough of a reason to passel it from being a shemen for hadlakas neiros. It has to cause for something secondary to that primary smell that leads to the problem. What's the problem? And Rava says the concern is that you might yanichena v'yetze. You might get out of the room and leave. So Amar le Abaye v'yetze. Okay, don't stay in the room. You don't like the smell. That doesn't mean that the halakas neiros wasn't kosher. What if it's a candle that I don't like the smell? It's not itron. It's not this byproduct. I don't like it. So Abaye says, just leave the room. Who cares? V'yetze. What is the big deal? No, Rava won't hear of it. Amar le, no. Shani Omer hadlakas ner b'Shabbos chova. So here Rava pushes back against Abaye and says that hadlakas ner Shabbos is chova. What, does Abaye not think that there's a chova to light candles on Friday night? The most secular Jew on the planet knows that we light candles on Friday night. So how could Abaye not hold of that? So the Balei Tosos pick up on this. Tibur Hamaschil had lokas ner b'Shabbos chova. Pirush, the chiyuv is b'makom seuda. The chova he sheyisod b'makom haner mishum oneg. Gevalt, that we have to sit in the room with the light. We know that this is the case as well, that when we light candles, we have to have hana from them. So some of the poskim nowadays are bothered. I'm sitting right next to my dining room table. They have two chandeliers above them with 10 lit light bulbs. It's very bright. The shalom bayis aspects that come out of those candles has nothing to do with the room. So some of the Meforshim say that today it's really more about the environment that it creates. It's the emotional connection that we have to them and that we have to be present for. Nevertheless, that was Rava's mindset here. Rava felt that there was a chiyuv to stay in the room, not because the halakas ner sarchova in categorically, of course Abaye agrees to that, but that the way we get hana from the Shabbos candles is by making sure that we are in the room when the candles are lit. Continues Rava. The Omar Rav Nachman bar Rav Zavda ve'amri lo Omar Rav Nachman bar Rava Amar Rav halakas ner b'Shabbos chova rechitzas yadayim v'raglayim b'cham in arvis rishus v'ani Omer mitzvah. So in the name of Rav, all quoted here to support the opinion of Rava, hadlakas ner is chova, and then as well we have a minhag here that is quoted here. That is rechitzas yadayim v'raglayim b'cham in arvis rishus. It's quoted as a minhag, and then the conclusion is like we paskin. V'ani Omer mitzvah, and this is how we paskin. We paskin that it is a mitzvah to shower bechamin, to wash our body bechamin with hot water on Erev Shabbos. So let's say, for example, there are people who intentionally skip days in showering. They don't want to ruin their hair, whatever the svara is. So that doesn't work when it comes to Erev Shabbos. Even if you showered Thursday night, halach is you have to shower mamish Erev Shabbos. At some point during that day, you have to take a shower with hot water specifically. Okay, if you don't have hot water, what do you do? Fine, but if you have hot water, that is certainly the mitzvah. This is quoted in Shulchan Aruch, and the Ramah in Shulchan Aruch and Siman Reish Samech adds here that it's really kol gufo. You should try to immerse yourself in water, in a shower if you can, in a mikveh. That's a separate discussion, really. But that kind of was their showering. It was more bath oriented than it was shower oriented. So it says the Gemara, my mitzvah. What is the mitzvah that you are fulfilling by using hot water on Shabbos? The Omar Rav Yehuda, Omar Rav, Kach Hayamin Hago Shel Rav Yochanan Bar Ilai. This was the minhag of Rav Yochanan Bar Ilai, Erev Shabbos. Vivian lo areva malei chamin. They bring him a big vat of hot water, and here's what he would do: Rochetz panav yadav v'raglav u'misatef b'yoshev b'sadin hamitzu yatzin. He would wash his hands, and he would wash his face and hands and feet, and he would get dressed misatef b'yoshev b'sadin hamitzu yatzin. He would get dressed in clothes that were mitzuyatzin, four-cornered garments that had tzitzios on them. The dome lamelech Hashem tzavakos, and he looked tremendously regal and grand, the Chavod Shabbos Kodesh. Vayu Talmidav, and his students would stand in front of him, mechaven mimenu kanfei ksusan, and they would hide the corners of their garments because they didn't have tzitzis on the corners of their garments. How could they not have tzitzis on the corner of their garments? There is a bittul aseh. This is what we call in the learning world an isser aseh. It's very unique to have an isser aseh, but if you have a mitzvah aseh doraisa, like we do, that if you have a four-cornered garment, you have to put strings on them. Let's say that I wanted to wear a sheet, and let's say it was just a real piece of garment. It was a tallis, whatever. I wanted to wear it, but I wasn't in the mood to wear it with tzitzis on it. That's an isser aseh. You were obligated midina that once you put on that four-cornered garment, that it has to have on it the appropriate halachic tzitzis. But if you don't, it's a bittul aseh. So these Talmidim were not wearing the appropriate tzitzis. They had four-cornered garments on, but they were hiding the corners from their Rebbe. Omar Lahem, the Rebbe said to him, Banai, my Talmidim, lo kach shanisi lachem, didn't I already teach you? Sadin b'tzitzis. Yes, there is a machlokes about linen and wool. When you have a linen garment that you're still chayiv in tzitzis, Beis Shammai pocher and Beis Hillel mechayivin. Va'alocha kedivrei Beis Hillel, and he says to his Talmidim, why aren't you wearing tzitzis? You've got a four-cornered garment on. Granted, it's linen, but we know that Medina, we paskin like Beis Hillel, that the halachos of shatnez are overridden when the garment is linen and when the strings are wool. So why do you have on a four-cornered garment that's linen? Without tzitzis, you should be wearing them. And here we get into a powerful and complex sugya, which is short. It's just 5 words. We're not going to spend too much time on it, but I'll just share one idea that's mentioned here in Rashi and certainly in other Rishonim and is found throughout Shas. And here's the Gemara's answer. The Inhu Savre, the Talmidim held, Gzeira Mishum Ksus Laila. Gzeira Mishum Ksus Laila means that they were concerned that it's only a Ksus Laila, that when there is a garment that's a Ksus Laila, it's meant for a garment of the night, literally. Let's say a person wants to walk around in a bed sheet. Now, a bed sheet is ksus laila. Ksus laila, there's no chiyuv of tzitzis. If there's no chiyuv of tzitzis and you're wearing a linen garment with strings, that's the isser of shatnez. So the Talmidim of the Rebbe here were saying, listen, Rebbe, I know the din is like Beis Hillel, But if I wear a four-cornered garment that's made out of linen and the strings are made out of wool, then once it gets dark out, I no longer have the halachic loophole of combining wool and linen because it's nighttime. And if it's nighttime, I'm not allowed to wear wool and linen because there's no mitzvah of tzitzis to provide me with that loophole of there's no Isser Shatnez. So once it gets dark, I'm afraid that it's going to become dark. It's Erev Shabbos. You're washing up for Shabbos. I don't want to put on my tzitzis. Linen garment, yes. Bigger shayla is why they put on the linen garments. Just don't wear them. If you're not wearing a four-cornered garment, there's no mitzvah of tzitzis. The mitzvah of tzitzis is we force ourselves. Baruch Hashem, we want to have a schus of olam haba, so we do an easy mitzvah, throw on our tzitzis, piece of cake. But if I don't, why were they wearing tzitzis to start with? Just leave the four-cornered garment out, and then you have your putter. So here the Gemara says that they were wearing it for whatever reason they were wearing it, but the reason why they didn't put on strings is because they were afraid of ksus laila. But this leads to a massive shaila, and that is as follows. If you are wearing a four-cornered garment, linen or otherwise, and it's daytime, halacha l'maisa, you are chayav to put tzitzis on all four corners of those within the appropriate guidelines of how to tie tzitzis strings. Great. How can the chachamim make a gzeira that we're so concerned that at night, that there's a time of ksus laila where there's no mitzvah of tzitzis, but it's daytime right now? The chachamim can't uproot a din d'oraisa out of a rabbinic concern. I'm going to say right now there's a gzeira d'rabbanan not to wear tzitzis because of nighttime, but right now I have a chiyuv d'oraisa. Hashem told me to wear a four-corner garment with strings. You're telling me not to. You're not God. HaKadosh Baruch Hu is the one who says that. So here, the Rishonim, Rashi here mentions this. Rashi at the end of Dibur Hamaschil V'inhu Savre. It's about 3/4 of the way down. I'm going to start in the middle there. Ubiyavamos Parchinan, again, the middle of Rashi, V'inhu Savre, 8 lines down into that Rashi. Ubiyavamos Parchinan B'chi Bezdin Masnin Lakor Davar Mina Torah Liftor Es Hachayev. How could it be that the Chachamim could uproot a mitzvah in the Torah? And Rashi says on behalf of that Gemara in Yevamos, Umishani She Ve'al Taseh Shaini. And from here, this is the first time in Shas we see this, and it's going to be seen throughout Shas, where we have a principle called, I wrote it down on the side of my Gemara side, remember it? Koach biyad chachamim, lakor davar min haTorah b'shei ve'al taseh. That the chachamim were granted a certain power that, where appropriate, they were allowed to uproot, to be ma'akir a mitzvah saseh shel Torah, as long as it was b'shei ve'al taseh, as long as it was passive. In other words, I don't have to undo something. I just have to don't do something. I just have to not do it, and then that would be the case. And that is the short version of this sugya. One more short sugya for tonight, and then we will wrap up. The pasuk speaking about this is from Yirmiyahu. Vatiznach mishalom nafshi nashisi tova. I disgraced the peace of my soul. Nashisi tova. I didn't see the good. My vatiznach mishalom nafshi. What does it mean that I disgraced the peace? Amar Rabbi Abo hadlakas ner Shabbos. When I wasn't lighting, I didn't have the peace. Hadlakas ner Shabbos, of course, is always a reference to shalom bayis. Nashisi tova. What does it mean that I forgot all the good? Amar Rav Yirmiyah, a number of shitas here. Amar Rav Yirmiyah zobeis hamerchat. That's washing oneself before Shabbos in a mikvah. Amar Rabbi Yochanan. Maybe not in a mikvah, maybe just in a beis hamerchatz. Amar Rabbi Yochanan zorachitzas yadayim b'raglayim b'chaman. This is the mitzvah that we spoke about earlier, that one has a mitzvah d'Rabbanan to wash themselves in hot water l'chavod Shabbos Kodesh. Rabbi Yitzchak Nafcha Amar, he said zomita na'a v'kelim na'am she'aleha. This is a bed that is nice with utensils that are nice and on it. Rabbi Abba Amar zomita mutzas v'isha mekushetas l'talmidei chachamim. What is it that I am noshisi tova, missing out on the good? A gevaldik isha who is fit for talmidei chachamim. One who is mekushetes, and it doesn't only mean physically, it means spiritually as well, that she has mekushetes, the talmidei chachamim. We'll just do one more line for tonight. Tanu Rabbanan Ezehu Asher. We're familiar with hearing the end of this line with Sameach Bechelko, and here the Gemara gives an iteration of that. Kol sheyesh lo nachas ruach be'oshro. Similar answer. If you have nachas ruach, you're content, you're settled with what you have. So that is considered to be an ashir, someone who's really, really wealthy. Of course, not a dollar sign, but rather a space of emotional contentment, Divrei Reb Meir. And we will stop here for the evening. Again, tomorrow night, Wednesday, 9 o'clock, Thursday, 9:45, Motzei Shabbos for the many weeks that will follow, Yirtzeh Hashem at 9:30. I'm happy to open up in case anyone has questions. Otherwise, we're all set.
How's that a shave out tasa? They put on the tzitzis. They actively put on the tzitzis.
Yeah, that bothers me. And that was kind of what I was referencing also, is why were they allowed to put on the tzitzis? Why were they allowed to put on the beged in the first place? But the truth is that putting on the beged is not undoing tzitzis strings. Like if you were wearing tzitzis strings and you took them off, that would be a kum va'aseh. But the beged itself is not a garment of tzitzis yet. It's just, it has a chiyuv of tzitzis. Your putting it on is not an act of tzitzis. Your putting it on is, it's usher, but you're not actually removing the tzitzis. So I just, as a balabatish svara, I think that must be what's going on here, because otherwise, I think you're totally right, and that would have been my initial impression, is that the Talmidim should not have been allowed to put on that garment. But there, the Chachamim said, since you're not undoing the strings to avoid the isser of shatnez for when it gets dark, you're just putting on a garment without factoring in the strings. So you're just putting on a garment, and that's considered sheva al tas as it relates to the strings, even though it's kum va'aseh for putting on the garment. But I like your question better than I like my answer.
Ruach ba'ashra.
It bothers me.
Me too.
Ruach ba'ashra, that it also means that he's healthy enough to enjoy his money.
Where is that? Are you seeing that in Rashi?
I remember
Rashi here says 7 lines from the bottom. Nachas rach be'oshro samech bechelko ima'atim rav. That's our classical understanding of Ezu samech, Ezu asher samech bechelko. Yeah, we typically understand it that way. Yeah.
That's Rashi.
But Ari, you're definitely enjoying your money on the cruise ship.
That's the goal at the end of the Siyum HaShas. You take us on a cruise, you know?
I'm all for it.
The Mirkas Daf Yomi ship.
Thank you so much for sponsoring. We're all interested in joining.
Okay. You join Nelly Stefanski share.
Yeah. All right, everybody.
An 8-minute cruise.
Yeah.
Cool too.
Okay.
Good night, everyone. Bye-bye.